Nikos was standing at the top of the ramp that led up to the Acropolis, the citadel that rose above the heart of Athens. Below him, he could see a dense network of narrow, winding streets spread out in the late afternoon sunshine. As usual, they were filled with people going about their lives, the babble of voices rising into the blue sky, along with the braying of donkeys and the rumble of cartwheels on cobbles. He turned to look behind him at a large temple surrounded by a maze of smaller temples and monuments and statues. The name Acropolis meant upper city, of course, but to the Athenians it was much more than that. It was the rock on which the city had been founded, the perfect site for a great temple dedicated to Athena of the shining eyes, the goddess of wisdom who had given her name to the city. It had been a good day. Nikos had roamed all over the city, then visited the temple of Olympian Zeus, where a white-robed priest had sacrificed a fine black bull to the god, the beast's horns gilded and wreathed with flowers. He had also climbed the steep stairs that led to the top of the defensive wall above the Athenian gate, and looked out over the wide plains of Attica, the rich farmlands ruled by Athens. Yet his feet always seemed to take him back to the Acropolis, and for a moment he was tempted to stay there. He could return to his favourite place, he thought, the little temple of Athena Polias, another shrine to the goddess. A sacred snake lived there in a special enclosure, a huge python that was fed on honey cakes. The very first olive tree stood nearby, an ancient gift from Athena, the beginning of the city's wealth. But then he sighed. Last night Mother had told him father was due to return from his trip sometime today, and Nikos had decided it would be a good idea to stay out of his way. So he had quietly left the house before dawn, when everyone in it had still been fast asleep, even the slaves. Yet he knew that eventually he would have to go home. In fact, the longer he left it, the worse things might turn out for him. He set off down the ramp into the lower city around the Acropolis. Soon he was completely engulfed in the noise of the streets, the endless hustle and bustle that he loved, moving through it like a tiny fish in an overcrowded sea. After a while he arrived in the Agora, the great square where Athenians gathered every day to buy and sell, to find out what was happening in the world, and above all, to gossip. He passed the huge altar of the 12 gods and walked along the colonnade of food stalls. The stall holders called to him, but he shook his head, forcing himself to resist the tantalizing aroma of grilled meat. Then he came to the most important street in Athens, the Sacred Way. And beyond that was the place where he had lived his whole life, the Avenue of Theseus, named after the city's legendary king.